Here in my workshop, and my workshop is right beside our heating system or air conditioning, and I don't think I've heard it turn off today. So all right, well, let's see who else here today. Hey Susan, hey Catherine, how are you? All right, let me get YouTube going, make sure they're okay over there. But I've got a couple of different bows that I'm gonna show you today. I did have a request for a red velvet bow, only using red velvet, using the Pro bow. So we'll be doing that. And then I need to get going on Mardi Gras, you guys. It's going to be here before we know it, and that's always been a big seller for me. So I want to get started on that. So we'll make a Mardi Gras bow today too. So, all right, so we're up and going on YouTube also. Hey Pam, how are you? Okay, looks like some people are filtering in. All right, good deal. So, is everybody ready for Christmas? I definitely am not. I did get a good chunk done last night though. I sat there on the computer and bought a bunch of kids' toys, so, well, not just toys, but kid gifts, so. All right, so like I said, I had a request for a bow, a Christmas bow used only with red velvet on the Pro bow. And I'm going to make it with tails too. So if you haven't seen how I add tails when I'm using my Pro bow, I'll show you here shortly. So, hey Larry Ann, Anita, Debbie, how are you guys? Hey Jamie, how are you? And there's Sharon. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I know you guys got a lot of things to do, but what I was going to do, I'm just going to use a 2.5 inch red velvet, and this is a outdoor velvet. Okay, and that's one thing, especially this time of year, especially with the reds, you want to make sure that when you buy your ribbon, like red velvet or something like that, it's going to be outdoors. You want to make sure there's outdoor red velvet. They are different kinds. Hey Colleen. So I'm just going to put this on my spool here. Actually, I better get you guys down so you can see though first, right? Looks like we got the smoke stopped over on my glue pot there. Okay, boy, that seems like it's leaning down a little bit. I'm going to raise you guys up just a little bit more. That's all we need is for you guys to tump over in the middle of making bows, right? Okay, all right, I think we're good now. All right, so if you're not familiar, this is the Pro bow. They call it Pro bow the hand. And this is the large model. Unless you're making like gigantic bows for like cars or something like that on a regular basis, you do not need the ultimate. The large is plenty big. And that being said, I've made car bows and very large tree toppers with this large. Usually what I do, and we actually had a conversation in the group about it this week, what I do, I just make large bows, and I just put however many bows together. Like if I'll usually use the farthest length, and let's see, so that'd be an 18-inch bow. If I need a bigger bow than that, I'll just add another one to it. If I need it bigger than that, I'll add another one. And that's how I come up with really enormous bows. But they do have the ultimate if you want to do that. But just like I said, don't feel you have to have it. Most times I'm right here at the C level. Let me zoom in here a little bit. I'll show you. Most times I do the C level, which is about a 6-inch loop. Sometimes I'll make it smaller, sometimes a little bigger. So, okay. All right, and I've actually, the letters come on this Pro bow board. I put the inches on here myself just so I had an idea what I was doing. Okay. All right, and this center loop here, or center peg, this is where the center of your bow is going to be, and this is where all the action happens. Okay. Now, if you've seen me work with the Easy Bow Maker, the Pro Bow Maker, or Pro Bow is a little different in that with the Easy Bow, we start with the bottom ribbon first, and we work up on our bow. The Pro Bow, you start in the middle, or the very top ribbon, and you work downward, okay? All right, and I've got my ribbon holder over here to the side, and people always ask me why I've got blue tape on here, and this is just painter's tape. I put that on there years ago just to tighten these up a little bit. Obviously, I don't want to glue them in because I want to be able to move them if I need to. But yeah, that's what that's there for. This center peg is glued in. Okay. All right. Now let's go ahead and, like I said, this is going to be just a plain red velvet Christmas bow. I like to put a center loop in them, and I'll show you what I'm talking about with that. Now, to start off with, you're going to need a couple of pieces of wire. I like to use 26 gauge wire, and I cut it to 26-inch lengths. Okay, it's a little longer than you're going to need, but I prefer to err on the side of caution. I trim off what I need to later. I would not go any thinner than the 26 gauge. I don't even know if they make a thinner wire, but you know, this wire, if you twist it too much or if you pull on it too hard, I have had it to break before. But it does allow me to really tighten up the center of my bow loop, or my bow, and it's easy to work with for me. I do use 24 gauge on occasion when I can't find the 26. To me, it's a little harder to work with, but it's doable. The number on your gauge of wire, the bigger the number, the skinnier the wire is, or the thinner the wire is. So this is 26 gauge, so a 24 gauge, let me see, I might have one. Yeah, I do. This is 24 gauge, or no, actually this is 22 gauge. And you can see it is thicker than the 26 gauge. Okay, so it's the opposite of what you would think. Okay, but we're going to start out with 2 pieces of 26 gauge wire cut to 26-inch lengths. Okay, all right, I'm going to put one of them to the side, and I want to say, just to start off with, I had a comment a few weeks ago when I was using the Pro Bow. You know, I was doing it all wrong and such. This is the way, I'm showing the way I do it. Other people might do it differently. My bows, I've been pretty successful selling my bows, and they turn out okay, I think. But if you have another way that works for you, by all means keep doing it. I'm showing you the way I do it. Okay? All right. And that's one thing that you'll find in wreath making. I mean, there's multiple ways to do about everything we do. Okay? All right. Now, I'm going to take, like I said, I like to put a center loop in my bows just to kind of fill in that middle. You don't have to, and if we don't do that, you're going to start your ribbon out a little bit different. Here's what I do to make my loop. Okay, and if you want to put a tail in the center too, you can do that, but I'm not going to with this one. All right, so we're going to start off, we're just going to pinch this, and I'm going to make sure that I've got a little bit of a tail here, because I don't want this to be, you know, somebody tugging on it and it pull apart. Okay. All right, and I'm going to take, I've already taken my wire and I've folded it in half. I know that's hard to see, that wire's so fine, but I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to take it and just wrap it around this tail here. Okay, tighten it up. Okay. All right, now, as I said, this is going to be the center of our bow. Okay, so I'm going to start here right in the middle. I'm going to take this and I'm going to take a loop around here, around this center peg. Okay, now I'm going to straddle this other side of the ribbon with my wire while I'm pinching it closed. Okay, I'm going to straddle it and I'm going to wrap it around. Okay. I'm going to take the top wire, that's on my left hand, I'm going to wrap it around this peg up here. I'm going to come down here, and there's a little nail there, or a little peg. I'm going to wrap the other side of the wire down here. Okay? And then I'm just going to tuck the underneath, or tuck the end of it underneath. Okay? All right, so now we've got our bow started. Okay? All right, now I'm going to take, and again, this is going to be the center of our bow. I'm going to get plenty of ribbon out. Okay? All right, now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take my ribbon, this side of the ribbon that's on my right hand side. I'm going to twist it, and this velvet can be a little tough to work with. It kind of sticks on itself, but that's okay. All right, now I'm going to take this. Now, see, I've got the right side of the ribbon facing away from me now because I twisted it. Okay? I just took it and I completely twisted it when I came here. Otherwise, the wrong side of the ribbon is going to be showing. Okay? So I'm going to take that, I'm going to wrap it around this peg up here. Okay? I'm making sure I'm not, I want to have it taut. Not too tight though. I don't want to pull on this to where it shifts this little knot we've made back here. I don't want that to slide off to the side. Okay, so I just have it just tight enough to where it's staying still. Okay, all right, now I'm going to come back here, right here to the center of this peg. I'm going to pinch it. I'm going to put my thumb there and just kind of hold it. And I'm going to twist that ribbon 180 degrees. Okay? And again, we're twisting it to make sure that the right side of the bow, or right side of the ribbon, is being visible. Okay? So always think, you know, that the good side of the ribbon should be facing away from you. Okay? All right, now I'm just going to come up here to the next peg. All right, and again, I'm pulling it taut but not tight, okay, because I don't want to shift the center of this bow loop, because otherwise my center is going to be off and my loops are going to be all wonky. Okay, all right, now I just keep on repeating the process, and you know, I've shown you a lot of videos where I'd use multiple ribbons. To start out with, this is probably the best kind of bow to make. Just keep repeating that process until you get comfortable with it. Okay, so I twisted it, good sides facing away. I went around the peg, hold it taut, bring it back here, hold my thumb. I'm going to twist it. Okay, I'm going to take it to the next peg. Okay, it's taut, not tight. Pinch it. And I'm just going to keep repeating this process. Okay? Now, one thing that you want to watch when we're coming back here to the center, you want to make sure that you're staying straight this way, but also up and down. Okay? What I mean by that is, in fact, I need to fix that just a little bit. I should be able to look straight down, and all of these should be right on top of each other, or more or less. You can fix it, okay, like I just did, but you don't want it kind of drifting upward or drifting downward. Okay, again, that's going to throw the center of your bow off, and then your loops are going to be all off. Okay, all right, so we'll come on back over here. We're going to just keep repeating that process. Okay. Now when you get comfortable with this and get brave, you can actually add another bow or another ribbon on top of what you've got here. It's a little cumbersome, so I wouldn't advise it right away, but just know that you can add another ribbon at any time. Okay? We just keep repeating that process. But I love my Pro Bow. You know, if you're getting one just brand new, just know there is a learning process to it, or learning curve. It can be a little tricky, but don't be impatient and you'll get it. This is probably the best way to learn. Just keep repeating this. I got my ribbon kind of hung up there. Like I said, the velvet's a little bit sticky on itself. All right, I'm going to come over here. I think I'm going to stop with this loop right here. Okay. All right, I'm going to pinch it and twist it. Okay, so we've got a, what is that, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 loop bow. Okay, so this is going to make a nice size bow. Not quite 6 inches, probably about 5 3/4 inches of the loops. Okay, all right, now you're probably wondering, what are we doing with this other wire? That's where this comes in. Okay, all right, I've got that other wire that we cut, 26 inches of 26 gauge wire, and I've already folded it. I'm going to stick this down through this center loop, and I know you can't see this. I will show you once I can free my hands. I will show you with a pipe cleaner so you can see what I'm doing. I said this wire is so fine, I know it's hard to see on camera. And I got it coming on the wrong side of the wire there. There we go. Sometimes it gets stuck down there. All right, I'm just pulling that right straight back here to the back. Pulling it snug. Now I'm just going to tighten it, twist it down. I'm not twisting it a bunch of times, I'm just twisting it once or twice, okay? All right, but let me show you what I did. All right, we've got that center loop, and pretend like this is that wire I just added, okay? I'm taking that down through that center loop there. I'm bringing it to the right side of this peg, okay? Can you see that? So I'm on the right side of that peg. And that's going to slide that wire right to the center of the loop there. And that's how you're going to contain all this wire. So I'm going to take, I just took it here like this, brought it around to the back, and then I twisted it, okay? I hope that helps. Like I said, I know this wire is so fine, it's hard to see it. All right, now, like I said, we're going to make some tails on this. And I want to make them, let's make them about 16 inches. So there's 15, so another inch. Okay. All right, so I've got one tail there. Okay. I'm going to bring this back up here, just like this. Just pretend like I'm making a humongous loop, more or less, okay? I'm going to go ahead and pinch it. Okay? I'm going to twist that wire around it. Okay? All right, now I'll cut it down here, if you can see it. I'm going to cut it down here. Hang on, let me zoom out a little bit. I'll cut it down here. Okay, so that's my 16-inch tail. If you wanted to make more tails, you certainly could. I would just repeat the process. Okay? All right, so let's trim that right here. Okay, now we need to get this off of the board. Okay? So I had to make sure I twisted that enough. I don't think I did. Yeah, I just twisted it once. Want it falling apart. Okay, now I'm going to take this wire that I wrapped around this top here. I'm going to take it up like this. Do not get impatient with this part. If you just pull it up quickly, it'll just tangle on itself. I learned the hard way, okay? So you got to take it off slowly. Okay? Get these other set of wires out of the way. All right, now I'm going to come down here and unwrap this one from that peg. Remember, we twisted that around there. Okay. All right, now I'm going to take these two wires, okay, and I'm just going to tighten this up. Twist it and tighten it up. Okay. And like I said, I usually twist it a couple of times or so. Don't twist it too much though, like I said, or it will break. Okay? All right, now just take your hands down underneath of all this ribbon and we're just going to lift it up. Okay? All right, let me get this out of the way. Now, when you look at it, remember I was saying you want to keep it, you know, all the layers right on top of each other. It should be straight this way. So all your twists should be about this, you know, right in the same area. And you also want it straight this way. Okay, that's going to make the best bow. But it's going to take practice. And am I perfect at it? No. Sometimes I mess up too, so I've got to readjust just like I did just then. But all right, now we need to fluff this bow. And actually, you know, when I'm making multiples of bows, I mean, if I sell a bow and I go ahead and get everything out, I just go ahead and make a few just so I have them, if I have the supplies, that is. This is the way I store them. I just hang them by this, and they take up a lot less space. Okay, I've just got a board behind my wall here that I just hang them from a little piece of chicken wire, and they're just hung in a row. Okay, now to make this look pretty, I'm going to show you my Fluff Box. And this is just a really heavy box, okay, really heavy. And I know some people just have their husbands make them their own, but I bought this from Regina that made the Pro Bow. It has an eye hook here in the center. Eye hook there in the center, and it's kind of opened up a little bit. And then it has this little peg down here, okay, if you can see it. All right, so what we're going to do, I'm going to take this, I'm going to get all my tails going the right direction here, or the same direction, okay. I'm going to take all my wires here now that I've got them all bundled up together. I'm going to take it and run it underneath that eye hook. I'm going to come down here on that peg, and I'm just going to twist it a couple of times. All right, now I've got both hands free so I can fluff this bow. And I have to tell you, and I know some of you guys have heard me say this before, but I drug my feet on buying this, thinking that it was just a waste of money. I was trying to cut corners, you know. It makes a huge difference. It really does. And I just realized I've got my bow tails going the wrong direction, so let me turn this. Let's do it this way. The ribbon talks to you and it tells you what it wants to do, right? So, okay. All right, so we're going to stand this up straight. We're going to start at the bottom, okay? And let me make sure I got all my ribbon going right. All right, and we're going to just take the bottom couple of loops and just pull them in opposite directions, okay? And notice when I'm in there to fluff these, I've got my fingers on the inside of here, and I'm just taking my fingers and just opening. Okay. All right. If you notice, like I've got one right here, the ribbon didn't get twisted all the way. Now's the time to fix it. Okay. All right. Now we're going to come down here to the next. This is the bottom two on this side, and I've got this loop here is a little bit longer than this loop, so I'm going to pull it the opposite way on these two, okay? Because remember, as we make that bow, each one of those pegs is a little bit longer, right? Okay. I love red velvet for Christmas, though. It's my favorite. It just really makes your designs pop, and just really makes a statement. Just classy, I think. All right, now I've got a longer loop, I've got a shorter loop. I've got a longer loop, I've got a shorter loop, so I'm going to take my longer and shorter opposite this way. Okay. Again, I'm opening these up. Same way over here. You just work yourself up. And be careful this way too. Like I said, using that 26 gauge wire, I have broken it before, so you know, you can manhandle it to a point, but be careful. Use your head. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and twist these all around and kind of make our bow nice and round. Okay. Isn't that pretty? It just makes such a pretty bow. You know what'd really look cool on here would be some of this. Wouldn't that like look nice? Here I am with my red and leopard on, but I think that would really look cute with a little pop of that. But that wasn't what the request was for. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's get our tails done here. Okay. I'm just going to dovetail them. And to dovetail them, all I'm doing, I'm taking both wired edges, folded them together, just like this. Okay, so here's the wired edge, here's the folded edge over here. And we're just going to cut it up at an angle so it kind of makes a V. Okay. All right, and this last one here. Okay. All right, so there we have our bow. Isn't that gorgeous? Very classic. Now, one thing I wanted to tell you too, as I said, this wire that I use is pretty, I mean, it's okay. I like to work with it, but it can be a little fragile. So what I do when I'm selling a bow, what I'll do is go back and I will take a zip tie and wrap it around that there at the center and add a pipe cleaner underneath of it just so they have something to hook it with. Let me show you. Where's my zip tie? I'll just take it right down the center here and you know, twist it around and then put my zip tie underneath of it like that. Okay, whoops. Now I don't crank the zip tie down so tight that I can't move the bow though, because you might need to maneuver your loops just a little bit. But anyway, there is a Pro Bow red velvet classic Christmas bow. Isn't it pretty? Okay, all right. Let me look through. When I'm doing these bows, you guys, I forgot to mention that I usually wait until the end to look at questions because I get distracted really easily and lose my train of thought. Hey, Zuli and Marta and Rita. Let me see if I got any questions here. Hey, Lourdes. There's Marianne. Okay, I don't see any questions. Okay. All right, so now the other bow I wanted to make today, and I'm sorry, I don't have any brand new ribbon to show you. I haven't gotten my spring. I think my spring ribbons should come in the end of this month, I believe, was when they're supposed to be here, but are we going to hold our breath? I know I'm not. I think I'm pretty much sure I'm not going to get some of my Christmas stuff. I was just thinking I ordered some stuff for my house even. I haven't even gotten it for decorating. I had a really cool Santa Claus that I found at market, and I don't believe he's going to make it. Okay. Mardi Gras. Who else does Mardi Gras here? All right, and this one we're going to do the Easy Bow Maker. And as I said, it's the opposite of the Pro Bow in that we're going to build this bow from the bottom bow loop upward, okay? And I just grabbed an assortment of Mardi Gras ribbon, and I've got a couple of 4-inch here. This is a, I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure this is Fair Silk, but it doesn't. That doesn't look like a Fair Silk container, or not container, but you know what I mean. Maybe it's Reliant. I don't remember. But anyway, so I've got two 4-inches. I'm not going to use both of them, but I wanted to just kind of show you how I spaced them out, or space them out to decide what we're going to do. I've got a few Mardi Gras ribbons here. Of course, it's red velvet, and then I've got this 2.5-inch satin, which, you know, I've talked to you before about satin, and a lot of times I don't like them, but this has kind of a cross stripe across it there. I feel like it makes it have a little bit more body. It's really a nice ribbon. I like it. Usually, if they don't have glitter on them, they can be pretty weak and floppy, but this one's good. As opposed to this one. This one doesn't have a whole lot of body. But I just like the Fleur-De-Lis on it, and I like the colors in it. It's okay. The wire is good. The material's a little fine. Okay. And then, let's see, I don't want that. And then I've got this just plain emerald. I have this Harlequin 1.5-inch. This one is really a stiff ribbon. And then I've got a touch of this little 5/8-inch gold that we might use. Okay. All right. So now one thing with Mardi Gras is you've got to be careful that that doesn't get too dark, because you know you use the purple, the emerald green, and the gold, and if you aren't careful, it can get really dark. You also can use black with it, okay? I've also seen some people throw some silver in on it, but it can be really dark, so you've got to be careful. That's why I grabbed this gold. I've got this gold here too, and then we'll add this emerald green. That'll help negate some of the darkness of the purple, okay? And since I have those two, I probably could get by using these. Let me look at it here. And you know, I always like to throw in a solid or two. That's why I grabbed these two. Which one do I want to use? I think I'm going to use the gold. We're going to go all out today. Okay? All right. Now, on the Easy Bow Maker, we're going to make our bow right here in the center. Okay? I'm going to put my ribbon over here on this spool. Get all the ribbon out of the way here. Now, when I put my ribbon on the spool, I want it to come out away from me so that it's a little bit easier to manage. It doesn't, you know, it's not the end of the world if you don't, but it's just easier, keeps it out of the way. Now, on the Easy Bow Maker, there's hash marks here that tells you how many inches you go. I usually use between a 5 and a 6-inch bow loop. You can also go on larger, but for the most part, for my wreaths, my projects, I use between a 5 and a 6. Okay, sometimes even smaller, but that's what I'm going to use today. And I'm going to go ahead, and this one we're going to have a tail. I'm going to make it about 14 inches. Like I said, this goes out 8 inches. Okay, and so I'm going to come over here to 6. So there's 14 inches. Okay, so I'm going to mark that with my fingers. Now, again, here's the 14 inches. Where my thumb is, I want to bring this down vertically through this peg here. Okay? I want the good side of the ribbon to go away from me while I'm making my loops, okay? But I'm going to come down like this. I'm going to twist it as I go down. Make sure the whole ribbon is twisted. This 4-inch is a little bit tricky, so that's why I had to back up a little bit there. I'm going to come over here. Okay, I'm going to find, I think on this one I'm going to go about, let's go 6 inches. Okay, all right, so I've got 6 inches right here. I'm going to put my thumb here on my 6 inches, so I've got a 6-inch ribbon or piece of ribbon here. I'm going to hold my thumb right here at this peg where it kind of measures about the 6 inches. Again, I'm going to take this ribbon down vertically. Good side's going to go away from me. I'm going to twist it and push it down. Okay, So there I've got my first bow loop. Isn't that pretty ribbon? All right, now I'm just going to make one loop of this on either side. Okay, this is a large ribbon. It takes up a lot of space. So I'm just going to do the one on either side. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to find my 6 inches. I'm going to put my thumb over here. I've got my thumb up here at the middle. Okay, I'm going to, now this time I don't have to twist it. Okay, because the good side's already looking at me. Okay, and I'm not going to make another loop. So all I'm going to do here, I'm going to pinch it. I'm going to set it down in there. Okay, and let's fluff this out. All right, now I'm going to come down here. And we're going to trim off this tail. Okay. All right, so now we got our first bow loop done. And as I said, this is the back part of the bow. Now, let's see. Which one do we want to go next? I think I'm going to go with this ribbon next, this stripe. And with this one, I'm going to do 2 loops on either side. I might have to take my sweater off. I keep on getting it caught on that ribbon there. Okay. All right, now, same thing. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to make my tail. Okay. And I usually make it a little bit shorter than the one behind it. Okay. But just kind of compare. I've got my finger up here at my middle peg. Okay. Get you plenty of ribbon off. All right, I'm going to go down through the center of these pegs. Good side's going to be away from me. Twist it. Push it down. Okay. All right, and we're just going to keep repeating the process. Now this one, I'm going to make this one about 5 inches, 5.5 inches. Okay, let's say 5.5 inches. And already I can't see my marks, so I've got this placed on my cutting mat here in line with the inches. So I'm going to look at my cutting mat for my approximate size of my loop. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm looking right here at 5.5 inches. Let me zoom in for you. I'm looking at 5.5 inches about right here. Okay, so I've got my thumb there. I've got my finger over here with about how long I need my ribbon. All right, I'm going to go down vertically, good side away from me, twist it, push it down. Okay. All right, now we're going to repeat the process. I'm going to make 2 loops of this ribbon on either side. Okay, same thing over here. I'm going to look for my 5.5 inches, put my thumb there, got my thumb here, take it down vertically, twist it. Okay, and I always have to kind of eyeball the ribbon loops too, because this is not like the Pro Bow where your ribbon stays exactly where you want it. You can see the more ribbon I get in here, it's making these pegs, you know, pull apart, and my ribbon wants to drift up. Okay, I'm going to hold my finger down there, but it still makes the ribbon kind of wiggly, and it'll move back and forth. So I kind of keep an eye on it. All right, now here comes my 3rd loop. I already have a loop here, so I'm just going to compare it to this other loop. Okay, again, I'm going to pull it down vertically, good side away, twist it, and push it down. Okay. All right, now this is the last loop of this ribbon, so I do not have to twist. I'm going to come over here, compare it to this other loop. I'm going to pinch it, put it down in there. Okay. Now this ribbon really has a lot of body compared to a lot of satin ribbons you're going to find, but I like it a lot. You can see how it was popping up out of those pegs. Okay. All right, so that's what we've got so far. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to trim my tails. Okay. Now, if you want to go ahead and dovetail them at this point, you can. I'm going to wait on this one because my ribbon's kind of fighting with me there, wanting to get out of that peg. All right, now, which one do I want next? Okay, I've got my 2 1.5 inches. I don't want to put those, I mean, on rare occasions, I'll put a 1.5 below a 2.5 inch ribbon, but it's an exception to the rule. This time I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use my 2.5. I just realized this is one directional. That's no fun. Okay, so we got to do this a little different. I did not notice that when I took this ribbon. All right, so what we got to do here, we can't make it the usual way because otherwise our Fleur-De-Lis is going to be upside down. Okay. All right, so I'm going to come down here. I'm going to make a tail. Get enough ribbon off of here. And this ribbon is going to be about, let's see, the last one was 5.5. Let's go about 4.5 or 5. So that'd be 4.5 right here. I'm going to pinch this, lay it down in here. Whoops. Okay. Like I said, you cannot do it the traditional way, or else your ribbon's going to be upside down, or your pattern, I mean. All right, I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to find my 4.5. I'm going to pinch it, because I can't twist it. Okay, if I twist it, it's going to be upside down. Now, if I had a vertical one-directional ribbon, I could do that. And that's a whole nother discussion. I call it, you know, this is vertical one-directional, which is I'm sorry, this is horizontal one-directional, as opposed to what you would think it would be called, but I didn't name it, so. All right, so we got one side of the bow made. Now let's come back with the other side. And I've got a little bit of a tail there. I'll cut that off. Let's see, let me make the tail first. I'm going to pinch it here. And basically you're making the loops on the outside of the bow maker. Okay? And I know I'm kind of going through this kind of quickly, but I've got a lot of videos using one directional ribbon if you need a refresher on that. Okay. All right, let's take this back up here. After we measure it, compare it with that other loop there. I'm going to pinch it. Okay. And let's trim that off. Yeah, I try to avoid one directional ribbon just because it's kind of a hassle. The vertical one directional is a little bit easier to work with than the horizontal. I think anyway. Okay. All right, now let's see. I think we need a little bit of color on top of that. We wouldn't want to come back in here with a gold. I mean, it's just going to blur all together. So I need a little bit of something. This is going to be my next ribbon here after this emerald, but I want something to separate these two, kind of a bold color that is solid, so that our patterns are better appreciated. And this one I'm just going to put one loop on either side. Okay. Again, I'm going to get my tail. I'm going to take it down good side away, twist it as I push it down. And notice every time I come back to the center, I'm pushing this down. Okay. You want that bow center to be good and tight. All right, and now let's just do about a 4-inch loop. We're going to do one on either side of this one. And the only purpose of this ribbon here is to break up these patterns and to bring a little pop of color in between. Okay, pop of color and solid. All All right, so I found my, here's 6 inches. So I'm going to say 5 inches, 4 inches. So here's my 4 inches of the loop. Twist it, push it down. Come over the other side, find my 4 inches. So 6, 5, 4. And again, we're just doing 1 loop, so we're just going to pinch it. Put it down there. Okay? Mardi Gras colors are so pretty together. Look very festive. Festive and fun. Okay? All right, now let's come back with our Harlequin. And then we'll finish up with this little touch of gold. This is going to be a huge bow. All right. Tail, again, I'm making it a little bit shorter every time I come forward, okay? Good sides away from me. Twist it, push it down. All right, I'm going to put 2 loops on either side here. Let's make it a little bit smaller, so that's going to be about 3.5 inches. I'm coming down to my cutting mat here to look. 3.5 inches. Push it down. And again, I like to have my bow centers closed. That's what I showed you on that red velvet bow. That's why I put that center loop there. And if you make them progressive, these loops progressively smaller, it's going to help to close in that center. Okay? All right, so let's find our 3.5. So that's about right here. Again, good side away, push it down. Now we can just compare to our previous loops. Twist, push it down. Compared to my previous loop, this is the last one, so I'm just going to pinch it. Okay. A lot of ribbon here, guys. Huge. All right. But Mardi Gras is all about excess. That's the whole premise of it. So the more the better. The more bling, more feathers. I remember the first time I just started doing Mardi Gras because I found it, it sold well on Etsy. Back years ago. I mean, we don't do Mardi Gras here. We don't have Mardi Gras supplies here. I can get some Mardi Gras beads, and that's about it locally. But anyway, I remember the first season I made Mardi Gras wreaths, and somebody got on there talking about that Yankee down there making Mardi Gras wreaths, and I said, they're like, you need more. I took that to heart. Okay, last bow. Now, if you notice, we have all of these single loops. I've got separating the ones with 2 loops, okay? What I mean by that is they're going straight in the center here, and they're to break up a pattern, okay? So I'm going to do the same thing here. I want a single loop on either side of this gold just as an accent, okay? All right, bring this down here. And this one I'm just going to make it, let's say 2 inches. I'll just kind of eyeball it. See what looks right. Twist it. And remember, on the last loops, we don't twist. Okay? Don't twist, we just pinch. All right, see how that ribbon's trying to float out of there? I don't have my finger on it. Okay, now we need to get all this ribbon up off of this board. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this zip tie. I may even have to add another zip tie, as much ribbon as we have here. I'll have to figure it out once I get down there. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go underneath all this ribbon here. I'm going to take this zip tie, I'm going to run it diagonally through those pegs, okay? Make sure you get all the ribbon up off your board. Do a double check, make sure you got it. And then two, with this zip tie, try to remember to put the knob down pointing toward your feet, okay? Otherwise, it's not going to secure right. All right, so let's go down underneath all of this. Come up through here, make sure that you've got all your tails on the right side. All right, and we're going to cinch this, not tightly, just cinch it a little bit, okay? Just enough to where it holds the ribbon in place. I'm going to grab that off of there, okay? All right, now I'm going to cinch it down a little bit more, but again, it's not going to be completely tightened down, okay? Just to where I can work with my hands a little bit, okay? All right, now remember I told you the single loops I want right here in the center, okay? Make sure you got your tails where you want them, okay? All right, now I'm going to come up to this striped ribbon. We had 2 loops of that, so I want to straddle that previous loop there, okay? It does not have to be perfect at this point, okay? Just straddle it. I'm starting at the bottom loop going up, okay? All right, now I'm going to come to this Fleur-De-Lis. Now this one, remember I had a tail, so I got to be careful. Remember I cut this ribbon, so I don't want to pull on it too tightly. Just fluff it. Again, I'm straddling that gold stripe there, or gold ribbon there. Okay, get my tails going the right direction. Again, I'm not pulling too hard. Where's my other tail? I end up not getting 2 tails on that. Oh, there it is. Phew. But where in the world did that go? It's hiding. Okay. Let me make sure I still put my zip tie in the right place. I guess I did. Okay, somehow. All right. Now we'll go to this green, and that needs to be in the center. And you'll have to come back to the previous loops and adjust. That's no big deal. All right, now we'll go to our Harlequin ribbon. Again, straddling the gold or the green. Get your tails straightened out. Now let's look at our gold one. And again, every one of the single ones I'm putting right here in the middle. Okay. All right, now if you're happy with the way your bow loops look, I mean, it's not going to be perfect at this point, but all your bow loops need to be about where you want them, okay? I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to get me a zip tie, and I'm going to put it, or I'm sorry, a pipe cleaner. I'm going to put it right underneath of that zip tie, okay? Now I'm going to turn it back over. Everything looks good. Now I'm going to cinch it down. Okay. All right, turn it back over. Clip off the end of the zip tie. Okay. All right, now, if I were using this in a wreath, I wouldn't do this step, but I'm pretty sure I'm just going to put this one up for sale, this bow. I still have that zip tie showing. If you can see that. Have the zip tie showing. So I need to do something to cover that. I really think that green would be the best. I think that's going to give us a pop of color right there in the center. So let's grab some of that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut some of this lengthwise up the middle here. I'm going to cut it about 9 or 10 inches worth. Right up through the center. Don't short yourself on this though, because it's really hard to do what you need to do if you cut it too short, or it is for me anyway. Okay. All right, so now I've got half of a piece of 1.5 inch ribbon. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to fold it in half now because I've got this raw edge here. I'm going to fold it in half. Make sure that I overlap the raw edge with the seamed edge. If you can see that. Okay, so the raw edge is not showing. I'm going to come down here and find that zip tie. Make sure I've got all my tails going in the right direction. I don't want any of the tails on the wrong side. Again, I've done that before, and you just got to redo it if you do it. All right, now I'm going to come back here, and I'm just going to tie this. Okay. Trim those edges off here. Okay. All right, now let's go ahead and we're going to take care of the tails. Talk about bling. This bow has a lot of bling. It's really pretty. Wish you could see it in person. It's so sparkly. All right, now this gold ribbon, I'm not sure I can dovetail that, and the reason why I think I can't is you can see it's double, well, it has two sides here, it has a lining, and they're not fused. So if I dovetail it, it's going to just fall apart. You can fold it under if you want to, kind of like this. Just fold it under, but I'm going to cut it at an angle, and then I'll probably heat fuse the ends of it. Okay, or you could take a little dab of glue and do it that way. All right, so I'm cutting an angle, and I want the bee going to the inside. And each tail I want progressively shorter. And now, when I'm making my bows for my wreaths, I don't necessarily want each side to be equal. You know, this side is equal to this side. When I'm selling them, I do, because I don't know what my customer's taste is. So if they want to trim it, then they can, but I typically don't. Now this one, I think I can dovetail, even though it's a satin. I think I can dovetail this. Sometimes, if like this Fleur-De-Lis ribbon, it's so thin, I don't think I can dovetail it. So I'm going to just cut it at an angle. Otherwise, it's going to just kind of fold up on itself. Okay. I'll cut that right here. And again, as I'm cutting these tails, I'm cutting them to, if it's a V, I'm going to cut it where it's coming to the center. Okay. All right. Do same thing on the emerald green. I'm not going to dovetail that. Now this ribbon I can dovetail. It's very sturdy. In fact, the 2.5 inch version of this Harlequin ribbon is a little bit difficult to manage because it's so stiff. Good ribbon, but it's a little tough to deal with. All right, now I'm going to just cut this at an angle. Kind of twirl these. Okay. All right, that's a big bow, you guys. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back through and see if I've got any questions that I missed. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. And I can't tell, I may have lost all my comments, I don't know. Oh, it's not for the UK? Yeah, it's not for us either. Oh, Christine, you may even need more ribbon. Oh, thank you, Vince. Thank you. Hey, Marilyn. Yeah, it's not for the UK. It's not for us Hoosiers either. But like I said, Mardi Gras does pretty good on Etsy for me. So I always make some. Hey, Glinda, how are you? Hey, Zuli. Zulie's wanting to know, why don't I place the wire on the Easy Bow Maker before I start placing the ribbon? It probably wouldn't stay there, Zulie, because they're pretty short. They're only about 9 inches long, and I'd probably wrestle it. It probably wouldn't stay. I mean, you could if you could get it to work, but I don't think I could. I'm not that coordinated. Hey, Faye and Nancy. All right, let me look and see if I missed any other questions. Okay, I do not see any other questions. If I missed your question, just put it in the comments. I'll try to answer as best I can. So I'm going to raise you up here. All right. Well, I hope you learned something today. I hope it was helpful to you. You know, we did the, if you missed it, we did the just a classic red velvet Christmas bow on the Easy Bow Maker, or the Pro Bow, and you know, I showed you how to do the tails, and then of course we did the snazzy, the Mardi Gras bow. Okay. All right. Well, as always, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. As I said, I'm going to do some shopping tonight and try and check on things, but I don't think my new ribbon comes until like the end of this month, and that should be lots of spring, Valentine's, Mardi Gras, spring ribbon, and hopefully I'll have something new to show you. So, okay. All right. And if you wouldn't mind to share this on your page, I would really appreciate it. Not only helps me, give me a little bit more Facebook juice, but if you ever want to come back and revisit this, then you'll always be able to find it on your page. So, okay? And heck, who knows? This time of year, there's lots of people looking out on trying to find how to make bows. So, okay? All right, thank you so much. You guys have a